So, part one, this is where we're going to start with the importance of understanding your history. And this is going to be this is going to be a tough one for a lot of people, because what makes this program unique and where this kind of bridges the gap between almost therapy and coaching is the fact that our methodologies and our structures and our understanding is the fact that we have to look back. And I myself, as I come from a background of extreme trauma, did not want to do that. I was a person in my life who, always the next thing, let's just go, and that was kind of a safety mechanism. Okay, get to the next thing, do the next things. However, I was kind of, even though I achieved, I did achieve things that were, very unconventional success things, but I was always feeling like a failure, that I wasn't successful. So it's like I was more like all over the place, where it's like, okay, well, I want to be a professional model. I want to be in magazines. I want to be on TV. I achieved those things, which are big goals for a lot of people, but in my brain process, never thought I was successful. And never thought I could really finish it, because it was my programming in my brain. Like, even, I told myself, I quit everything and whatever. And I stepped in having no really experience, into a boxing ring. I said, okay, I had 6 months to train, and I got into and do a real fight. And that's intimidating. That was televised in front of, not only was the crowd, thousands of people, it was televised. Like, that's something that I propelled forward. I just did. But the old me, so that was something I did in the more recent years, and the old me before was like, I can't stick to anything, I can't do anything, I'd be ADD all over the place. Like, I wasn't recognizing my own success. And I say that because the old me did not ever really want to look back and analyze. So as much as I started with self-help and understanding self-help when I was 13, but I adapted this mentality that I always had, I had to be positive all the time, which is what you'll see in most programs. But the problem is when you have trauma and dealing with things, it kind of like stops you from being authentic and honest when you're angry or when you're upset. So what we do in our programs here, and what I'm wanting to teach you, is learning how to not judge any of your feelings. So as we talk about things, learning how to know your thoughts, learning how to recognize what your thinking is. Because what are we doing here? We want to recognize your old, the thinking, your old stories that have made you, you. When you're born worthy. When you're born worthy. Every baby, when they're born worthy. What happens is, society, family, country, people, friend, everybody, over time, the things that happen to us shape and change us. We are who we are at our cores, but that also attaches back to our brains are millions of years old. Your brain is part of your parents' brain, which is part of your grandparents' brain, etc. So we have these pre-programming things that are already in us. And then life happens to us, and that shapes our stories, our beliefs, who we are. So where you're at today, right now, as you sit here and you're watching this video, everything around you created. You're exactly where you feel you deserve to be. And that is a lot to take in for people. Like, what are you talking about? But that is the reality. And that's why so many of us are stuck. Not like, I see people really constantly resetting the same goals. So for myself, like fitness and working out, I would always be like, I have to look a certain way or be a certain way or whatever. And it was like I couldn't move forward. I was stuck in that for 20 years. I couldn't move forward. So my goals were always around that. Well, when I just lose this much weight, then I'll be happy, or blah, 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 blah. The irony is I had to let go of all of that to come back around to achieving those things. Like, I healed my own eating disorder with my own programs well over a decade ago. And when I let go of the control and the obsession, funny enough, my body balanced out. It was the obsession, the diets, the things, the ups and downs, the thought process around that actually kept my weight fluctuating so much. It was a mental thing. And I used to have a lot of clients, and it was the same thing where I would give them diets, give them stuff, and whatever. And the issue was, though, and then like some people would be doing really well, and I know they were following it to a T. They couldn't lose weight or whatever else because of the stressors and the thought process that was around them. And that's what so many people don't recognize and understand, and then they keep themselves stuck. So when you understand your own history and the things that shape your brain, that's what makes a difference. So all of the mind candy method really has to do with analyzing our values, our truths, and it constantly goes through that cycle to be like brutally honest with ourselves so that we can personalize. Because by the end, like what we're learning, we want to learn who you are. So in the first, right now we're going through your first month is this month is really understanding you at your core for so many different reasons. Because so many people think, they think they want certain things, but the reason they're not getting them is because they actually don't really want them as much as they thought they did. It's come from society telling us those are the things we need to be happy. And then we feel like failures because we don't have those things, but really that wasn't our core motivation. So when you understand yourself and your history more, when you understand yourself and your history so much, and I mean your history of you and your patterns and your thinking and what makes you you, that might actually change what you've really wanted. And so many people haven't had the option to even explore their own thoughts. They haven't had the option to explore their own life. They didn't even know that was a possibility, that you could do anything you want in this world. Nowadays, too, with the internet and the way things are, you can make unlimited income doing anything on the internet. That's a possibility. So if you're like, I don't like my job, well, guess what? You can change it. But I would say to somebody, what would you want to be known for? Like, what would you want to do if you were making money on the internet? And then you might love your job and you might love what you're doing right now, so then that's not a factor for you. It might have to do with something else with your family. But I say that because it comes with freedom. So what type of freedoms do you want? Who has control over you? And everybody in some way has. Oh, nobody does. Well, really, if you have a boss, if you're in a role of a boss, okay, probably somebody has some sort of that's control. I have my own business. Okay, well, who's your customers and what are you doing and who's your supplier? Like, what is your business? Because somebody would have control of you back and forth. Like, so you have to decide where your control is. Do you have, kids, a dynamic, a relationship? Well, there's a control factor there. Like that's just a reality. And so many people don't recognize that. And then they blame everybody else instead of saying, what's my role in this and how am I taking responsibility and what am I going to do to change? So learning your history. So we're just going to go through this week. All I really want you to do, you're going to do your assignment and there's going to be the aid videos. I want you to start getting, thinking around that mindset. And because you're going to be learning, and we're putting you in a study of you. You're going to be studying you. And you're going to be brutally honest with yourself because reflection is hard. It's hard. And understand, I'm condensing kind of I went through a 2-year depression that I worked through, though, because I wanted to take myself to the next level. And I had to cry a lot. I had to scream. I had to, I had to go through that process, and I'm glad I did instead of judging it. So I recommend, I do actually, we have a specialized course even for getting comfortable on camera for people who later want to make something of it. But if you've been uncomfortable or talking to a camera or being, in a crowd, I'm going to actually encourage you to maybe use, if you don't have anyone to talk to at different times, like you said, we have the community and we're going to be speaking. But when you can't, or if it's feeling like journaling is one thing, but I find if you turn on your phone and you talk to it like a person, it's private for you, it's healing for you. You can reflect on what you've heard. So example, you can watch this video and then, if there's a question or things, go, this is how I feel about this video. She triggered me in this way. I feel emotional. I'm starting to feel. So when you're feeling isolated and alone, talk to yourself. Talk to yourself. Because it's going to do two things. One, it's going to get it out of you. And there's stuff in you. And you might find, and then you're going to start to become like it will come out of you. So then, and then two, it'll help you actually be able to articulate your own thoughts and your own feelings and be able to communicate better with yourself. Later, that can turn into being able to communicate what you need for yourself to other people. It's so funny because in our heads, we think we're something else a lot of the times. We really do. It's our thoughts and being able to recognize our thoughts and then being able to take those thoughts and communicate it effectively to somebody else. That is actually what changes things. Because somebody else's interpretation of what you're trying to say might be wrong, and then that's where it creates conflict, friction, whatever, right? Because what's the issue? Is that humans, right? We're trying to communicate, but we're not on the same page, and then we're frustrated with each other. A lot of times too, whether you're in a happy relationship or not, or whatever, it's like a lot, or if you think about any of the bad relationships you've had, a lot of, in the beginning, it wasn't bad, right? You're attracted to somebody generally because they're generally like different, or there's something there. And then you get into a relationship, and then the things that you were originally attracted to, you're like, I hate this person because of those things. That's actually a mirror reflection though of you. They had something in there that you were like, oh, I would want that. And then that becomes, as you get closer, like targeted, and it's actually like a reflection of the things you don't like. And if you can't communicate effectively, things will get worse. But the first person you need to communicate effectively to is you. So I want you to keep that in the back of your mind, that when you have the assignments, but start maybe like writing, and there'll be different instructions. But getting on your phone and talking to your phone is going to be a huge thing for you, just to be able to talk to yourself. And then later, if you get confident, you can post it to the group or share or whatever. And you can go into the groups and do some, have some discussions and some videos and some lives. And then that can lead to, like I said, other things. The more comfortable you get to talk about your story and who you are. Maybe that is what you want to do. Maybe one of your goals is, I want to be a coach. And like, maybe you want to turn it around. You have something that you're being coached through one area of your life. Maybe you're exceptional at another, and you want to share that. Maybe you want to make money online. Maybe you're already making money online. You want to take it to a different level, right? So there's so many different options. Or maybe you want to grow your community. I don't know. That's what we're going to go through. But if you're starting to do that, and that's part of your process, you're going to be exceptional. By the end of these 90 days, you're going to be in a different league if you can start talking to your phone about your own feelings. You'd be surprised. So knowing your history, that's going to be a big thing. So this week, I said, I want you to be aware. You are going to start paying more attention to you. You are studying you. Just pretend. So now, like, I was like, because I have all these different personalities myself too, and that's actually some of the things I have some fun with. So it's just like, I go, okay, well now I'm Barbie, right? So Barbie can be any type of Barbie you want to be, and if you're like, ugh, right? So some women watch this and go, I wouldn't want to be that. Well, pick a G.I. Joe, like something else, whatever. But I'm picking Barbie. And I go, okay, well, Barbie's in her lab coat now, and she's going to be a scientist, and now who's she studying? Right? So let's say I just changed roles. All of a sudden I separated myself, and I'm playing the role of scientist, right? So that's saying, and she's analyzing Candace. Well, you're going to do the same. So you put on your lab coat. You don't have to be Barbie. You can be whatever character you want to be, but on your lab coat. You're studying yourself now. That's your challenge. Let's do it.